Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner and to a Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. That's right, it's Christmas time and I have a present for all the people who've been subscribed to this channel for a long time. And that's because, as you can tell by the mat, we're doing a profile on Red Eyes, my avatar from the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. He is, of course, my favorite card. And when I found out last year that he was getting support in Class of Rebellion, I lost my shit. Unfortunately, the support wasn't enough to make him competitive, but at the very least, Red Eyes can now be played as his own deck, as opposed to being like as an engine in decks like Disaster and Rulers and such forth. So I'm happy to see that's a thing, and the support he got in Invasion Vengeance is actually pretty good. It's just, sadly, the original batch of support has flaws, and that's what you get for when you're like the first thing to get like legacy support. Whereas like Buster Blader, Blue Eyes, and Dark Magician are the product of them getting their shit done properly. So it's unfortunate, but whatever. I'm still pretty stoked to finally be doing a profile of this. It took a while for me to get all the stuff I needed to actually get the profile, plus experimenting around with the list. And this is basically based... Wow. Redundant words. This is based on the concept that topped a tournament in Japan a while ago. You can find the list on Road to the King, and I'll explain it as I get into the profile. So, also with modifications, because A, Japanese format versus TCG format, and B, the TCG format's changed, so like that list doesn't really apply here, even if I tried to play that. So let's begin. So for the monsters, I'm running one Red Eyes Black Dragon. He is, of course, my avatar, my favorite monster, and this is my particularly favorite artwork. I still own my starter deck Joey Red Eyes, but I've always been fond of the Anniversary Pack one. Then one DT Summon Skull, because it was either this or my MRD Ultra, but my MRD Ultra is not first edition, so we're gonna go with that. These guys are in here, so I have the ability to fuse into Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, as he is still okay from time to time. One Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. You don't really summon it as often as you think you do, but it's still nice having that utility. Plus, he is at worst a Red Eyes you can send from hand or deck to the graveyard for the effect of your monsters. But yeah, one Red Med. Not my Jump Ultra Rare. I have my playset of those still, but this is a German secret, so that's pretty nice in its own right. Then three Red Eyes Black Flare Dragons. Black Flare's pretty okay. I mean, he is 4800 by himself when he's Gemini summoned, so that's a thing to keep in the back of your mind. And this deck does do a hefty amount of burn damage. And he has a pretty nice name in German. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I will butcher it. 3 Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact. The card is pretty mediocre, but he is a level 6 dragon. He is a Red Eye, so he has some synergy with the deck. But I say that very loosely because the synergy this deck has is all over the place. But his Gemini effect only comes up every now and then. If he just prevented your guys from being targeted by effects, then he would be a whole lot better. But alas, he does not, and as a result, he is relegated to just fusion fodder and Red Eyes Insight fodder. 2 Paladin of the Dark Dragon to be able to fetch Red Med and any monsters out of the deck that you might not... Like, if you don't have a fusion play, then chances are this is going to be the play you go into. And you have Manju to search him out, and Maxi for defense. Then for the spells, 3 Insight. This card is insane. You send a Red Eyes from hand or deck to graveyard to search a Red Eyes spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only use one of these from per turn. You can't search itself out. But it's still so good that I'm running 3 of it. It's just unfortunate that the other Red Eyes spells and trap cards are not good. I mean, they are okay at best, but they're not great. But if we ever get like a really good Red Eyes spell card, then this card will be really strong. But as it is, though, it's a really powerful setup card, and you want to see this as soon as possible. 2 Dark Dragon Rituals to summon the Paladin, and also to search out your Red Eyes Insight so you can search out your other cards. 2 Red Eyes Fusion. This card could have been so much better, but nope, you can't summon other monsters during the turn you activate this. If they even just gave it the restriction of you can't summon monsters other than Red Eyes, then it wouldn't have been so bad, because at least you can activate Return and summon Red Med and such. But nope, you play this, that's it, you can't do anything else. And that is what ultimately killed the viability of this deck, in my opinion, because your other Red Eyes spell cards is a ritual spell. And then you have trap cards, and they're slow, so... RIP, but it's still a very powerful card, and we have a good turn 1 fusion monster now, so that's a thing. 2 Pot of Desires, because this deck needs the speed and the boost and consistency. Like, when you brick, you lose. Like, there is no playing out of it. 2 Return of the Dragon Lords. Return and Fusion conflict, so I'm not maxing out on either of them. I have other means to fusion summon via Dragon's Mirror, and I'm going to do it like this because I want to show off my CP Dragon's Mirror. Because is it my CP? No, this is my Dark Revelation. Yeah, it's Dark Revelations. But anyway, I've had the Super Rare Dragon's Mirror for a long time. I've just never had an excuse to play it. Now I do. Your basic goal is to fusion summon as soon as possible. Then on the following turn, Dragon's Mirror into another copy of the fusion monster, and beat your opponent in for lethal. 2 pre-preps to search out your Ritual Spell and your Paladin, Regeki to clear the board, and Twin Twister to clear back row. Then for the traps, 2 Burst Breath and 1 Eradicator. Biggest difference between our list and the Japanese list is that we only have 1 Eradicator, and they have 3, so I can't cripple spell-based combo decks like ABC and Blue Eyes as efficiently as the Japanese Red Eyes players can. So instead, I've decided to make do by running Burst Breath, which attributes your Meteor Comet Dragon to blow up their board, which can still stymie an opponent. Like, your opponent commits to a Pendulum Summon, you Burst Breath their board, that's it. They just have their normal summon and whatever else for the turn. And I'm running trap cards that can help deal with the Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, etc., etc. And then Eradicator, again, you tribute it off, call spells against Blue Eyes or ABC, and you should slow them down considerably. And you call traps against Paleozoic, and you should, in theory, slow them down too. Assuming, of course, you even have a chance. Like, those decks are just so much better than this. Your only chance of beating them is to go first and to open really strongly, because fighting back against those is very difficult. We are running more traps, though, in order to at least try and stymie our opponents, such as 2 D barriers, 2 strikes, and a solemn warning. All these traps try and stop your opponent from playing so that on your turn, you can kill them. That's the goal, and by God, we're going to do it or we're going to die trying. Like, this deck is a glass cannon, but it is a very, very fiery and fun one. And then finally, 1 Return of the Red Eyes. There will be times where you open with Fusion and Insight, so you need something else to search. And this is one of the better cards you can search. It allows you to recur monsters. If it gets popped, you can summon a Red Eyes monster of any kind. And then 1 Red Eyes Spirit as the other one. Also, this one's signed by Richard Clark, so that's a nice bonus. And it's one of the few. This is one of the few cards alongside Paladin that allows you to summon Red May without having to play it from hand. And yeah, it's a chainable Call of the Haunted for Red Eyes, except of course it doesn't die to Twin Twister. But yeah, that's the main deck in itself. The extra deck, it's pretty straightforward. This is primarily a fusion build, so 3 Meteor Comet Dragons. When he's fusion summoned, you can send a Red Eyes from hand or deck to graveyard to inflict half of his attack as damage. And when he's sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon a normal monster from your graveyard. He's 35, he's dark, and he's level 8, so he is a return target. And there will be games where you summon one of these, and then you Dragon's Mirror out another one, and then you go into a rank 8 because you have to clear something. I've had it happen to me once, just because some cards are just really annoying to deal with. But he's just primarily there to burn your opponent, and then through your Burst Breath and your Eradicators, if they threaten it, you can sack it off to cripple their hand or board, and then he floats down into a Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon, and hopefully their board is open so you can Gemini summon him, and that's 48 on top of the 12 you've already dealt. If you have any fusion spell or revival spell, you should in theory kill them by just summoning any of your other monsters. But yeah, that's basically the goal of the deck, is turbo this guy out turn 1 going first, protect it or sack it off to cripple your opponent, and then just go for the kill. 1 Arching Black Skull Dragon just in case I absolutely need to get an attack off in the battle phase and get that last little bit of burn damage. And then finally, 1 First of the Dragons. There will be times where you have Dragon's Mirror and 2 Meteor Impacts in the graveyard. You can Dragon's Mirror into this thing, and he's at least a wall against certain decks. And then for the Xyz monsters, 3 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragons. So Flare Metal, we all know what he does at this point. While he has material, he can't be destroyed by effects. While he has material, anytime your opponent activates a card effect, they take 500 damage, and you can detach to special summon a normal Red Eyes monster from your graveyard. And yeah, I kind of went out of my way to get these prettied up. I also have the Ultra Rare from the Legendary decks, so I have Red Eyes Flare Metal in every rarity, and 2 of them are swapped. I need to get this and the Ultra Rare Language swap so that I can have all foreign Red Eyes monsters in my extra deck. Yeah, that is the ultimate goal of this deck, is to either max rarity it out, or to just language swap everything. Anyway, moving on, we have our other rank 7, Big Eye, because all the other rank 7s suck. Draco Saxman Power Crept, and Master of Blades loses to Solemn Strike, so we're going to go with the one that can actually, that if it resolves, is a big Temple Swing, and that's Big Eye, because it takes a monster, thus allowing you to get those more very important burn attacks off. And because we have the ability to sometimes go into our rank 8, we're running a small package of Titanic Galaxy, Cypher Dragon, Full Armor, and Dark Matter Dragon, and then for our 6 we're running a Utopia Beyond, and finally a Castel for the occasional rank 4 play. I have thought about putting Norden and Instant Fusion in here because I am running the 4s, and since this deck is 42 cards, you could honestly just cut like these 2 cards and cut Archfiend Black Skull Dragon to put Norden in there and some more rank 4s. I decided to throw these guys in there because this deck absolutely cannot compete in the format, so I figured why not just YOLO swaggin' and just like tweak this to my liking. I'm really only going to be busting this out in casual games against my friends, so it's whatever. But yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys in general are having a good Christmas. And as for what's next on the blue corner, I think I might do a Card Vanguard Market Watch, but that's for that. So as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! Content goes, I think I'm done for the year. The only other deck that I really play at this point is Metalful Yang Zing, and let's be honest, any good Metalful Yang Zing list is probably based off of Nai 3's list. I know mine is, and it wouldn't be anything you haven't seen before. Hell, I'm still in the process of learning the deck, because once Denglong came out and you started running things like Terror Top and Red Resonator, you have a whole new sequence of plays you have to learn, because the hands that used to be bricks in the past are not bricks anymore. And like I get hands where there's like the obvious play, and then there's the not so obvious, really disgusting play. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say here. I hope you guys again enjoyed the deck profile, and until next time, this is Blue Star 899 jacking out, and Merry Christmas.